Good afternoon. Little soggy out there in some places, but I think we already have a commitment that we will not let that dampen our spirits. I see the cornhole bags flying. I see folks gathered up talking as friends. Have musicians on the stage. We got the pork steak genius cookers already in place. So just a few words as we start off, which would be a shout out for the District 12 band, the Bobcats. Weren't they marvelous? Woo! And to our color guard, hoisting the flag. I'm Ron Knapp, son of Jim and Marcella Knapp. Been asked to give just a few words of invocation as we gather today. I want to say three short things. One is the question, who's going to fill their shoes? The next is the alliterative phrase, the loveliness of littleness about our small towns. And then a little toast to kick us off. Tom Brokaw wrote a book 20 years ago now. Who's going to fill their shoes was really the theme. It was called The Greatest Generation. And he said, you know, this generation that came through the Great Depression and World War II had all that grit and determination and resilience. Nobody's going to top that generation. They were the greatest of all time. There is a truth in that, but I think we better step back and giving them props. Think about all those who built up this park, for instance. All those heroes and sheroes over the generations. In fact, I saw John Pate next to Jeremy Pate just now, and I had that sense of the generations. One is great, the next can be great too. Who's going to fill their shoes? I think people do step up. So we give props to those ancestors before us, and we lift up those right in our midst today, stepping forward in our shoes to do our part. The loveliness of littleness. People know each other out here in Clinton County. I grew up here. I still wave to people in my bigger town where I live now, and sometimes my daughter Nora will say, Dad, who was that? You've probably had this experience too. I say, I don't know them necessarily, but they're part of the human family. We just don't know any better. We just wave. That's just who we are. That's in our blood. Even when I come home now, after all these years, I will get somebody invariably, for instance today, who will say, I have no idea what your first name is, but you're one of them Knapp boys. And I say, yes, I'm guilty as charged. You could say Knapps, or you could say the Savluski clan, or the Lammers, or the Rockers. Think of these other towns around here, these long, legendary family histories, the Timmermans, Voss, Dieters. I said Pate earlier. Grapperhaus, Henriks, Tunyas, Tolley, that list just goes on. When I was at SIUE one time on staff, a premier nursing instructor said, oh, you're from Clinton County? We get our best nursing students from Clinton County. Heck, all of them are in the classroom are pretty bright or they wouldn't be in college doing this. It's just those kids from Clinton County, they know how to relate to a patient because they know how to relate to each other. They know how to give a word. It's just kind of who they are. I love those Clinton County students. They're perfect nursing students. They have the clinical skills and they have kind of the BS skills. They have the social skills too. I'm going to give one little anecdote. This was a few years ago. A large oak tree crashed on the sidewalk at our house. Marcella, God bless her, was still living then. Had no access. She was pretty compromised physically at the time. Couldn't get to her car, couldn't really get down the sidewalk. Jeremy Pate shows up out of nowhere about an hour later. He has a chainsaw. Where did he get that? He has a buddy with him, and they clear a path for Mom to have access. That's Beckermeyer. That's all of our loveliness in these little towns where we just care, and we know that, and we're connected. To me, that is community. It's not a dictionary word. It's for real, the real deal. People out here care for one another. We look out for each other. And so I'm going to ask you, wherever you are in the moment, if you can raise a can or a cup or a glass, or maybe raise a shoe, because we're going to try to fill the legacy of those going before us. Here's a toast to Buxton, which is a nod to our town's history, to the BCDC, the Beckermeyer Community Development Club over the years. And here's to pork steaks, cold beverages, music, families, friendship, to the skills sweat, commitment, and camaraderie. That greatest generation and our generation, building this park from scratch and sustaining it through today. To the towns, villages, the townships of Clinton County and other towns nearby. Yes, to Frogtown, Little Prairie, Carlisle, St. Rose, Aviston, Breeze, Bartelso, Germantown, Albers, Trenton, Damiensville, Huey, and with the jump starts ready to kick off the music portion of the day, Mascoutah, and of course to Beckermeyer. What a lovely little town. Hear, hear. Woo!
Rusty old town, built up on one side of the hard road, steel rail.